Okay, so we are here for the purposes of onboarding Adam Brock into the Favor Solutions Network. So the process is we read through the phase one agreement, and then you can kind of nod at each point or just, whatever you want to do, twinkle, to just note that you agree with or if you have any questions or just can't agree with any of the things, definitely that's also worth pointing out. And then we kind of semi-ceremonially add you to the ledger.
Cool.
So, yeah. Cool. So I'm just gonna go ahead and share my screen. So this is the phase one agreement. So the first point is membership. The Favor Solutions Network will initially be made up of individuals invited into the network by the network's founder who agree to the starting terms and conditions.
Okay.
The system will be governed by consensus to join, meaning that the rules will be established before anyone is admitted, and by using the Favor, all participants agree to the rules. The rules of the system will not be changed during phase one. The system will be administered by benevolent dictation throughout phase one, meaning that the system's founder, Deacon Rada, will be solely responsible for administration of the system until the end of phase one. The contents of this document on the day of the first transaction will constitute the entirety of the rules and covenant of the network for the duration of phase one.
Got it.
Credit limits. Each member will have the same credit limit of 1,000 favors to get the system moving. Credit limits will not change during phase one.
Okay.
For the duration of phase one, only individual humans will have accounts. Organizations may be admitted in future phases according to policies yet to be determined. The only organization which will hold an account through phase one will be the Favor itself. The transaction fee of 1% from each party will be taken on each transaction. During phase one, basic expenses incurred by the system's founder will not be reimbursed, those expenses being minimal and shared between projects. I am going to add this apostrophe. I don't think it changes anything. The Favor may, though, spend favor with any of the founding members to further the growth of the network, especially if the network's lack of spending results in a semi-deflationary effect. There are no transaction fees for purchases made by the network.
Okay.
Cool. No privacy will be afforded to the founding members in phase one. The ledger shall consist of a single simple spreadsheet with minimal personal information. Full name, product service offering, product and service interests, preferred contact information. So this is just saying that basically everybody can see the whole spreadsheet, everybody who's a member.
Right.
And for up to the present state of the spreadsheet, since we're recording these videos, anybody will see the starting spreadsheet.
Cool.
Members may, of course, title their transactions whatever they like, which allows for a modicum of privacy. So you don't have to be really explicit in the details of what you're buying or selling.
Like that public Venmo feed.
Right, exactly. It's very much like
you who paid who, but you can't. They can say whatever they want. For that. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Brokered deals will be critical to establish circulation. The act of brokering consists of a third party making connections and initiating transactions between others within the network. Deacon will be brokering as many transactions as possible free of charge through phase one. Gratuities accepted. There are no promises being made that free brokerage will be offered following this phase. So this is the big mouthful. Transitioning to phase two, which is kind of important. Phase two will be the phase of consensus of all members. In order to enter phase two, a couple of conditions must have been met. Consensus must be reached between all members about the specifics of the consensus process with regard to what constitutes a quorum, what communications obligations membership will confer, what technologies will be used for communication, what constitutes a stand-aside or silent consent in decision-making, how new members will be invited, how will credit limits be changed, consent to hard code that which cannot be changed, and a statement of intentions about what processes will be essential as decision-making scales, documentation, access, and protocols. And there's a little note off to the side here because there was originally different wording, and Caroline actually pointed out that the wording was less good, or was not for this last point, which is just saying we need to have a process intention for scaling.
Sure. Okay.
As a secondary condition, the interface and backend technology must have been created and configured to allow individuals to enter and confirm transactions reliably and autonomously without constant human oversight. The Favor Solutions Network is empowered to incur reasonable debt in favor credits in order to make this happen through a virtual bond measure against future transaction fees.
Cool.
Sweet. Once the above conditions have been met, the era of benevolent dictatorship will come to an end for the Favor Solutions Network. Determining that the above conditions have been soundly met shall be the final act of unilateral decision-making for the network.
Do you plan on making that back-end technology from scratch, or are you open to, like, do you think there's an existing platform that can facilitate that?
There are several possibilities, and it's interesting because both Sven, Drew and Sven and I on separate calls at this point had different conversations, very different conversations about it, which was interesting. There's no reason to invent like a database, for instance.
Right.
Like I've been on projects where we custom wrote an actual database model to have like a hyper specific kind of database for a thing, and then ended up actually throwing it away to use something that was, more established, because then you get community support, So from scratch, that's actually Caroline at my door, and I believe, Caroline's coming in. Hey, Caroline, I'm on a call with Adam. Actually, an onboarding call. No problem. Just check right on the table right there. Cool. See you. I think that we'll probably use some combination of like the front end will be custom, right? Like how the user facing side, and the back end could be any number of things. Sven is really pushing for a blockchain, like putting it on a blockchain. And I don't think he's wrong per se for like scalability and for like rigor and all these different things. I'm not so attached to a blockchain. I don't want to be connected to a big carbon footprint for mining. I don't want to be connected to any other system of governance that might, bring about conflict.
Are you familiar with
Holochain? I don't know very much about it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's still active, but I know tangentially several folks that were involved in it, and I think that it was designed to kind of take the best aspects of blockchain technology, but without the huge processing power and without like with the ability for it to be like, it was designed from the start to not consolidate power, but to really more radically decentralize it.
Cool.
I don't know, it might be a blockchain variation to explore.
Yeah. One of the most fun aspects of that question for me is that it's not a question for me, because I'm explicitly stating here that the members have to agree on it and not me. Or I mean, like I'm one of the members, but like that's like I'm actually not the holder of that conversation.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. So that's all the stuff. Does that sound good? Sweet. In that case, here's our little ceremony. We change your name from gray to black. And then you're in. Cool. And then I'm going to double check all the fields and formulas to make sure that they're referring to the right spaces. And and that the other formulas reach you, which they do. That one also reach you. Okay, sweet. That's important.
Yep.
And so this is how it works. You have access, or I'm giving you access now to these two columns. And taking away access to edit those columns from anybody else except me, because I got to administrate this stuff, and share. And then you should now have an invite. And in this spreadsheet, you can edit. You can basically, if you want to buy something from somebody, obviously you talk to them. And let's just say that you wanted piano lessons from Ona, because she's right there next to you. And this next line is free. So you would, let's say, actually, you would go -100. Ona, because she controls her columns, would agree to the transaction by putting positive, and then you call it whatever you want. You enter the date. And then I'm leaving these two columns open, so you guys can yourselves do this because there's a transaction fee, or I'll come along later and do it. You know, or actually, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I did that right. I keep on second guessing my arithmetic because I usually get the arithmetic wrong.
Yep.
And everything is rounded, rounded up from 0.5, rounded down below 0.5.
Okay, so it's rounded to the nearest favor, and it is the idea that one favor is basically equivalent to $1.
That's the idea. At least it's definitely for starting. Like everyone will evaluate everything according to themselves, right? Or like you make deals with people. And so it's one of the things I'm really interested in seeing is can we establish over time, does the valuation of the favor shift against the dollar? And I have no idea what will happen. But I also really don't want to I think that systems like this start to break down when people try to cram in opinions, I actually for a long time had this, especially with Kojaks, this opinion that we needed to do things to keep it consistent to the dollar and not let it shift. And part of the issuance mechanics of the Kojaks had provided some reasons for that, but the ultimate truth is just when you try to artificially control things, that's when you start centralizing authority in this negative, insidious way. It's just a ledger.
It's no longer a free market.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not free, and then people start to lose personal responsibility, and it's a downward spiral. So
I get it.
So the next step is we add. I hit the wrong combination of keys there. There we go. What is your preferred contact information for people to reach you and solicit transactions?
You can do my phone, 303-601-1621.
Correct?
Yep.
And then email? Or?
wildgreenyonder@gmail.
That's a Gmail, right? Yeah. Yep. And then the mistake I made before was clicking that, which just assigns this whole thing to it and breaks a bunch of stuff. So yeah. And then offering.
So what, these are things that I'm offering to the community?
Yeah, things that you will accept payment for.
Oh, cool. I can add to this later, yeah?
Yeah, this is completely changeable.
Yeah. Okay. So what I can offer is regenerative enterprise coaching.
And I can type. I'm not offering my skills as a typist.
I can offer permaculture landscape design. I can offer meeting facilitation. Seedlings. I'll leave it at that for now.
Sounds good. Seeking.
Squarespace web development. Trying to think of services that how about garden labor?
Do it the English way, yeah. Do it the American one.
Um, oh, I need someone to help me fix an electrical issue on an old car. Yeah, great. Yeah, that's good for now.
Yeah, that's a great, that's that. Sweet. And all of these are in as comments by me, which is, I think,
Right.
maybe awkward. A thing you could do if you wanted the first and only comment to just be you would be to like maybe copy this, resolve it, and then enter it so you can make it editable.
Yep.
You do, yeah, however you want to do it.
Yep.
These still two stacks are all you. And then the last question is, what kinds of projects or economic solutions or initiatives do you see potentially coming out of the favor that you're looking forward to, that you're interested in?
Yeah. Well, obviously I see a lot of synergy between this and the mutual aid network, which I know you're already thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
I also see a lot of potential for this to be a concrete way for our zone in course to support each other in more material ways. So to kind of, yeah, put our money where our mouth is, so to speak. And yeah, I mean, I think I would love to see this get to the point where I feel like in our community at this point, there's actually a decent balance of owners and renters in terms of like property.
Okay.
And so, because for me, the thing about alternative currencies always gets down to, but you still got to pay the rent, you know?
Right.
And so if we can get this to the point where people can pay parts of their rents in favor, then I would really see it being, having the possibility to take off. So basically getting enough landlords involved and getting, you know, within this kind of bounded community, we're part of having the tenants of those landlords be bought in as well.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of many indicators of success to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I can see that being feasible if, I mean, there has to be, if you own a property and you're upkeeping it, or even just prepared to upkeep it, there has to be some margin between what your hard, like bank expenses are, your mortgage, and what you're charging in rent. And if there are people in here that can provide services on houses, provide, you know, upgrading and things like that, and other like luxury services and things like that, then all of a sudden it becomes very real for anyone who owns a property to have reason to be involved. And the thing, one of the things I personally am very keen on in the design of the favor, and I don't want to badmouth any other barter networks.
Mm-hmm.
In some of their barter networks, they disallow mixed currency transactions, and which is, it's really hard. It leads to an enforcement issue, right? How do you enforce that?
Yeah.
And so it creates a lot of bad blood as they're like sort of like spying and doing weird things to try to police that policy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to do that. So if, and like, this kind of brings it to what you were saying about, you know, paying some of your rent in this.
Right.
So, yeah, mixed currency use is great. I would, you know, for a while on all the Squiggles invoices, I just had a little thing at the bottom, which is checks payable to Squiggles. Here's the address to send checks. We accept up to 30% Kojaks. We also accept IRTA. And, you know, like, you know, here it is. Here's my Bitcoin wallet. Like, just pay however you need to, you know, work it out. And here's the invoice. Like, and I really genuinely believe, and this is what Bernard Latier talks about, is we need a polyculture of currencies because they have different mechanical operations. They each imply different things.
In my book, I call them heirloom currencies.
Yes.
You know, the idea is that it's not like just like an heirloom seed is one crop variety that's bred for a very specific location and a very specific need. Like our currencies ought to be like designed with love for a very specific use case, not like to be scaled and replicated.
Right. Absolutely.
Cool. Well, I am really excited to experiment with this, Deacon, and as always, really appreciative to you for being that tip of the spear and taking a leap of faith and always being willing to innovate. And of course, I think it goes without saying, but the timing right now couldn't be better for something like this.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
one other thing. If you could
Yeah.
email me or Slack me a photo of yourself that's at least 700 pixels tall or around there,
Okay.
just for the thumbnail for this video and things. Yeah. Just any
Okay.
picture you
Yeah,
like.
I'll do that. And then also, I assume if there's people who I think would be excited to be part of this network, I just send them your way and you
Yeah.
do this with them.
Yeah, just put us in touch, and I just
Are you how quickly are you wanting to grow it? Like, do you have an opinion on like?
Yeah, I do. I think that I want to get to like 10 people pretty quick, and then I think I'm going to start like being a little more, just in terms of the beginnings. That first group has to come to consensus on some
Right, that's true.
big problems together.
Yeah.
And also has to tackle, like, mostly has to tackle the problems of how the group will continue to address problems as it gets bigger.
Yeah.
So everybody that comes in first has to be someone who by themselves can sell things to people, and who essentially has the capacity to talk to people and make decisions and see what's a circumstance that can be compromised and what's a principle that can't, and that kind of thing. And so that's all I'm kind of looking for. But I imagine if anybody who's in the network right now says like this person should be in, like I'm going to assume the answer is yes.
Yeah. And you're not going to have like a application process at this point or anything.
No, I just want to talk to people. If there's anybody like, I don't imagine actually that very many people will be sent my way that I don't know. It'll probably be mostly people I know. But if somebody I don't know, then I'm totally like, yeah, sure, let's just talk, like, and see how it should play out and try it. Because that's the whole thing is like, I'm not like defending a thing that is established that it doesn't have a lot hanging on it. The total skin in the game is all like 0 to positive. It's what could happen. There are no lives in the balance. And so this is the time to like take a risk on people. This is the time to really, extend ourselves and be flexible and create opportunity. So.
Great. Awesome, man.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, DK.
Talk to you later.